If you could pick any team to go and just walk into now, who would you play for?
Oh man,
You could pick a team now.
right now.
Just walk in.
La Rochelle maybe.
Roger's interesting, isn't he?
Hello and welcome to this week's RugbyPass Offload with Max Latif and Ryan Wilson. Later on the show, we'll be joined by ex-England international, one of the most talked about players over the last 2 decades, Danny Cipriani. But first things first, Ryan, we loved hearing you in the co-coms against Bath, the double for Max over Perpignan, and genuinely all round great weekend, no?
It was lovely. Like, this is the second time we're having to shoot this because Max breaks his microphone every time we come in here. 2 times in here, 2 times.
Technical difficulty.
Someone forgot it turned on. They'll clip that in somewhere wherever they want to take it from, take the piss out of your accent. But boys, now that I'm doing co-coms, or commentary, punditry, whatever you call it, people think I'm retired. I went to the airport and I said, I checked in, mate. And before this, I'm not big time, but it felt big time because I got to the BA desk at Glasgow and he was like, Wilson, is it? And I was like, what?
Did he see your passport?
No.
Okay.
Don't need a passport to get down here, do you?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah. Ooh. And he was like, rugby fan. I was like, didn't say that. You could have just. But he said, oh, so you're not playing anymore? And I'm like, well, nah, yeah, still trying, mate, but injured at the moment. But I think people see me doing the commentary stuff and doing the podcast and getting out there a bit. And they're like, oh, so you're still playing. Pisses me off a bit. But I couldn't help myself as well. The other side thing is, how serious do you have to be when you're doing that stuff? Because you see me.
It depends.
Did you see me blowing doing the old steam like around John Barkley on my Instagram?
And they were like, no.
No,
don't do that.
I don't know. But I can't help myself. But
surely that's what you again, and you'll be like, I should be a bit more serious.
But surely that's what they want to see.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of carefree.
You know, when you're at home and you're watching the TV, you don't want them to just be so boring, stiff, serious, do you?
Yeah, but you don't want like a rugrat either.
I think I've got a good blend.
You've got a good. No, genuinely, though.
Really?
Yeah, I think.
I think you should watch. You don't know what I'm talking about, do you?
No, I didn't watch it.
Anyway, yeah, I bloody loved it. Did you play rugby at the weekend?
Yeah, mate, I absolutely. Did you see what happened?
I'm so glad because I was like, do we bring it?
Hold on, we don't know what
we don't. No, actually, yeah. Let's let you. What did happen that we're not sure you will bring up?
Right.
Just before you say it, we asked for input from fans and stuff. We're like, guys, get involved. Listeners, viewers, get involved.
Flying to me.
The amount of messages I received of people wanting me to slag you off for this.
For the anti-try scoring.
What happened?
All right, lads. Okay, it looked like an open goal. I admit that is terrible finishing, even from the tight end prop. But right, as I've gone to dive, I kid you not, that absolute freak show Tuilangi's son. You know Henry Tuilangi's kid?
He's a big man. 140
He's got his like mandible mitt in there and just squeezed it out of me.
Has he, or have you dropped it?
I swear I didn't drop it. If you get the other angle, you can't tell because...
Did you see the other? I didn't see the other angle. It didn't get shown. Really sadly, didn't get shown.
Oh
this
my
is
God.
Where we need.
You know what? And then everyone was coming up to me. I was like, maybe I did drop it. Maybe it's time to end this. And I was like, well, time to hang him up, boys. But yeah.
We're now delighted to be joined by an ex-England fly half and one of the most talented rugby players ever to play the game in Danny Cipriani. Dan, thanks for joining us. How are things?
Things are great. Thanks for having me. I appreciate the invite.
We appreciate you being there.
Honoured.
We were buzzing.
Yeah.
Why? The WhatsApp group kicked off when we went suddenly from Haskell to you. We were like, fucking thank God. We're like, slightly slower. It's going to be fucking deep.
Well, I don't know.
Be a
maybe.
Mixture. No, I'm happy. I'm happy.
I've seen you working very hard with the legendary Margot Wells, getting ready for your comeback. Where are you heading? Are we going to America? Are we going to Japan? What are we doing?
No, there's nothing on the horizon at the minute. I'm just keeping fit, enjoying my training. I think the best part at the moment is like your whole career, you are told what to do, how to train, what to do, and so on and so on. And like coming away from that, like I've enjoyed my fitness and my movement more than ever. Like it's been really enjoyable. So been doing bits and bobs with that and playing lots of football.
We mentioned Margot Wells straight away there.
Yes.
Because a woman,
A legend.
Absolute legend. And I
You have-
single-handedly
You know,
will put down my career is where it is and what it was because of her.
really.
People say who had the biggest impact in your career, and people talk mums, dads, taking you. Margot Wells,
Yeah.
and so genuinely talk to me about Margot Wells because
About Margot.
absolute legend. I love her.
She is a coach that wears her heart on her sleeve. Obviously, being a woman and Scottish, and again, doesn't really fit into the rugby mold. So she's never really been accepted within the environments or whatever it is.
Hated by Irish.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Remember Wasps?
The whole reason why I started seeing her was my friend Josh Bowman was playing for Wellington, and I went to watch him at the Roslyn Park Sevens, and I wasn't allowed to play because I was signed up at Wasp, but I was just watching him, and he ran down the wing, and I was like, this kid was never quick. Like, what on earth is this? This guy's dusting it down the wing. So afterwards, I speak to him. I say, like, what are you doing? Like, why? What? How have you got this quick? Like, it was. You see what it's like. It's that much of a difference. It's so shocking. I wanted to know. So he goes to me, everyone's taking the piss out of me. I've been seeing this lady called Margot Wells. She's over there. And then I was like, can you introduce me now, please? Like, I'm still got another year and a half of school left. I met her. I can't remember. Like, I remember, obviously, I was a pretty confident kid when I was younger, so I would say whatever I felt. I wasn't that conformist. And
Indeed.
I went up to her and I can't remember, I said some sort of cheesy, confident line and she absolutely loved it. I can't remember the specifics. She knows it, I don't.
Yeah.
And then I ended up training with her like for, I think like the last part of my schooling year. I would get on the train at like 5 o'clock from Croydon to Guildford. I'd get there for about 6:30 and I'd get home for about 9. I did that 3-4 times a week. And at the end of my school year, Ian McGeechan was like, what are you doing for off-season? Is it going to be your last 5-6 weeks off you have for a long time? I went, I'm going to go train with Margot Wells. And he was like, no, I don't want you to do that. Take the time off. Take the time off. And I was like, all right, Geech, I'll take the time off. What did I do? I went and trained with Margot Wells 6 times a week for the whole 6 weeks. Came back and I was beating like Josh and Paul Saki in speed tests. And me and Geech was like, you've been seeing Margot, haven't you? I was like, yep. He was like, you can keep doing it. Like, coaches don't want you to have your own trainer or have your own on the autonomy and the conformist thing. It's like they feel if players have too much disruption from the outside that it will disrupt the inside internal environment. I felt like I had to go over and beyond to be allowed to train with Margot. Just the fact that the belief you can get quicker, get sharper and train like that, train purposefully, like with a directive and a vision and then achieving it, like the confidence it gives you. You feel what that confidence feels like when you suddenly go from being X speed to faster. You're like, yo, you feel like things are limitless then because you can get better, you can improve. It's like the start of that. And she gave me that at the beginning, yeah, for sure.
Margot Wells.
Legend.
When I was a kid, I'd go and train. He was turning up. James Haskell was there. Like Josh Lucy, was he there for a bit? I think
Saki was there. Delali was back in the day.
Paul Doran Jones.
Dozer was.
But I'm like, I genuinely believe that got kids that are young that go and train and they're suddenly in an environment where there's people like that, they're like, fuck, I can make it if I'm, and they see that. And I think that's a big part of it as well, because I know that, is it Sinclair? Carl Sinclair?
Yeah, he's a big advocate, yeah.
Carl's there, yeah.
He's there.
Yeah, she's fully changed his physical appearance and his whole movement.
So she's still doing it now.
Yeah, and that's someone who is a position where people were like, you can't make a difference with a prop. It's like, well, she has.
Yeah.
He's more explosive, more dynamic, more agile.
I forgot to say it a couple of weeks ago, but Haskell had a deal with her where she wasn't allowed to train another back row in the Premiership.
Of course, Haskell had that deal.
He had a deal with her.
He was sandbagging everyone else.
Just make me the best that I can possibly be.
Anyway, you can't train anyone else in the Premiership.
Literally, like, had a deal with that.
Yeah.
So she didn't train anyone for ages. And then obviously, like, her voice probably got too much for him, and he was just like, I'm not, he left. He stopped training. Yeah. Funny.
Let's quickly talk about the rather controversial new tackle law that's come in, been implemented by the RFU.
That's unprepared.
Where, from this season onwards, for those who don't know, all non-professional rugby, tackle height will be lowered to the waist, triggering kind of cry from current players, perhaps from you guys, ex-players, referees, Nigel Owens coming out, Ben Stokes, I don't know if you saw England.
I know.
Yeah, saying
Stokesy, man.
wading in, saying it would lead to more concussions and, in fact, more dangerous. Danny, start with you, somebody who prefers attack over defence, but also you had obviously your issues with concussion. What have you made of this proposed radical change?
I don't know. I don't make that much of it. I don't really know the thought process behind a lot of the decisions that they make. It just seems like another one in the cycle of decisions that are slightly perplexing. Is it going to be a good or bad thing? I don't know. We don't know yet. But I guess the feel is that they just make fairly rash decisions to try and...
The feel of it is that they're doing it because of all the concussion stuff, and they're suddenly going, oh, fuck, here's a quick fix.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Without fucking actually thinking it through.
Yeah.
You say you're prepared. I'll be, what okay.
So
let's let him loose.
No. I want to hear what your argument is.
But no, I genuinely... Right, waist. Where's your waist? Because everyone goes, well, that's your hips. I think your waist is here. So
it's like
I'm with it.
below the navel, yeah?
I'm going anything below my massive pecs. Fucking laughing for me.
Really loose t-shirt. That's the problem.
Anything like below the nipple
so flat
makes a bit more. But
no,
like,
that's not what that would be rib cage.
So we're going below the waist.
Would be like the navel. No, I understand.
Give us your thought.
No, I don't.
DJ.
Right. Okay. So right now on Twitter, we've got massive reaction, huge vitriol from everyone. Right.
Crazy.
All rugby players are sort of opposed to it. However, since 2015, they've been recording data. Okay, and at this point, the safest place to tackle is, as you said, round here at the rib cage, right? In France, in the community game, they had, I think it was 3 fatalities. It was very sad. So what they had to do was change the game completely. So, but the reason...
But why were there fatalities? Because
of head knocks. Because of brain injuries. We shouldn't
but
be
from
calling
what?
head knocks.
But what caused
I
it?
don't know the specifics, but
it
would have been brain trauma.
But maybe not shoulder on head, maybe head on knee.
Yeah, I think that is important. I don't know the question.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to that, but that is an important question. When they introduced the law in rugby here in the UK, they tried it in the championship in a cup, I think. Yeah. This was a few years back, right? And it didn't work, as all sort of the rugby players are saying. Oh, you're going to get more concussions because as I've been a tackler, I've always got concussed on a knee or a hip, like the hard pointers, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And then I see this guy called Ross Tucker, Question of Sport, quite an interesting guy. He's been doing so much of the data, sports scientist. He says that the likelihood of concussion is far higher when there's both heads occupy the same space. And that's just what the data tells you.
Right.
And that's pretty conclusive. But this championship trial, the way it differed to the French one was because in the championship, you put this rule in a different cup, so the guys were changing between different sets of rules. So they were like tackle below the waist, and then they were going back to the normal comp, and so you got to give it time. Second up, the French rule differs in the fact that the partnering like ball carrier has a part to play, so you'll never see the Tuisova bump offs anymore. Yeah, you see, now that's what.
Fucking hell, you can tell you've had an hour and a half train ride here.
Yeah, I know.
It's the first time he's ever come prepared.
So that's what you've got to get your head around. You've got to get your head around, one, if you want to make the game safer, you have to change it in some ways, a sad way. I agree. I enjoy that physical confrontation, but ultimately, if you want to meaningfully change it, I think they were thinking, if we tackle at the waist, if they miss small, they only go so high. That's why I think they're going for such profound changes.
Talk about someone we talk about a lot here and the environment that he created. What was your reaction to Eddie Jones being fired? And it didn't seem like you guys necessarily always saw eye to eye. And actually, I think you were recently relatively critical of the environment that he creates.
What did I say that was critical of his environment?
again, that there were the way he treats and punishes players and
Yeah,
blaming the private school system for the failings, those sort of things.
So again, that's just a blame culture, isn't it? He's trying to blame outside. And, obviously me and Eddie, I think he felt I can't speak for what he felt, but what I can say is I wasn't given an opportunity within that environment because I think he felt I was too much of a risk or whatever it was. But that's me speaking for him, so I don't know. But the environment he ran is very conformist. It is very much that way. There is no leaders within the group because if you speak up against Eddie, you're not seen to be doing what he wants, and it's the way it is. How can you have a free voice if what you say has to sound good to him? Do you know what I'm saying? It has to be free. That is not how Steve Kerr, Phil Jackson, Pep Guardiola coach. They don't do that. A commentator, a journalist asked Pep Guardiola about a pass Kevin De Bruyne made and said, do you tell him to do that? Did you make him to do that? He starts laughing and he was like, no, I give them the freedom, I give them the structure within place, and within that, what they do is up to them. But the reason why they press so hard, in my eyes, is because they are free. They are free to express themselves. When you feel joyous and happy and free, you don't get tired. You don't get lactic acid. When you're a child running around, when you're running around playing sevens with your mates in the park, or you're playing football on a Monday night, you don't really get tired when you're free just having fun. But when you make people have to deliver a message or have to do what you're being told, it feels strenuous, it feels tiring, it can feel draining. So what I'm trying to say there is I've gone a long way around it, is Eddie's environment for me wasn't that free, and it was apparent with the way they played.
I imagine that environment being, you say what you say, but as long as it sits in his rules and it keeps him happy. I can imagine it. It's like almost like a bully.
But yeah, he's a very
like,
successful coach. But he's a very
as
successful
long as
coach.
it keeps him happy.
He's a very successful coach.
True.
So this is
Not
this
with
is
the recent
this is the
England
balance
team, though,
within
the amount of stuff that came out about some of the people in that. In
percentage wise. If people go on the stats, percentage wise, he was a very successful coach. There's examples within our sport that if you play one way, you can still win championships or even World Cups. Like, look at South Africa, the way they play rugby. They play an abrasive, aggressive style. You know exactly what's coming. On the day, sometimes you can defend it or not, right? But you can't watch that and try and emulate it, which is a lot of coaches do within the sport. They watch a team, then try and emulate it. But what's behind South Africa is the passion, the desire, the togetherness, like stuff that
I wonder
as
if
a culture we can't create
The
because of where they're
intangibles.
from.
Yeah, so as a
And-
club
and-
coach, he'd be terrible.
Potentially, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
I can tell you.
I
As a
don't
club
think
coach,
I
I
don't
reckon-
think he's a terrible. I don't think he has a massive game understanding of the game, like attacking rugby of the game. But I think he has a very good skill set of making people come together and feel like it's us against the world. Like some of the performances, like away in Australia, in the World Cup, there was a real like abrasive stature to that England team. They weren't, there was a real kind of style with it, and whether that's right or wrong or good or bad or wins or losses, that's his style. That's what he does. I'm just saying, if we have more coaches like Scott Robertson within the game, we'll get participation up. We'll get more money within the game. So if you're a coach or a player, what's your responsibility?
When did you feel, in your career was that time that you could be yourself and it was less conformist and you were happy and you were doing the joyful things that you love to do?
On the field, I've always done that. It's just the only way I knew how to operate. There's definitely times that I've been honing, refining that decision making, like throughout my career, obviously.
But what clubs
yeah,
do you feel that you're most where you're like, fuck yeah, I can do what I want?
Well, when I started at Wasps, it wasn't like it was a massive freedom to my game, but Sean gave me the personal freedom of like when you get the ball.
When you say Sean
Edwards, do what you got to do, like. But he gave me good cues and feels and understandings. I hadn't played fullback before, and so he threw me in at fullback because of Margot Wells had a bit of speed. Hey, thank you, Margot.
Jeez, her phone's going to be off the hook.
Yeah, trust me.
Fucking too right. Hey, you know, I'm the second fastest player still at 33 years old in the Glasgow squad over 10 metres. And then it's fucked after that.
Yeah, but still, there you go. 10's all you need.
10's all you need.
We'll get that out
Yeah.
there, mate. We'll get that out there. Keep it going.
What was I saying? Yeah, Wasps was great.
You relaxed and fucking felt like you could do what you want.
At Wasps, I was probably my most relaxed because I was fresh. And my first stint at Wasps, I was fresh
the
into
scrum,
rugby
with the
without
scrum.
any ideas of what's going on or nothing from the outside. I was just this confident kid. Everywhere I went, I was just, you know, there's people would say he's a great rugby player. So obviously with that came a certain confidence and a freedom to me, which I naturally had.
Don Warlock outside you at 12.
Dom outside me at 12.
Your old mate out there.
Yeah, we had a hell of a team. I did feel that in that way, but then everything changed. Like it became, you know, the reason why you get into the sport, it changes over time because you have outside expectation, you're trying to get success, then you have failure, then you get feelings from that and how it makes you feel, and you've then got to process that, and your desires then aren't really the same as why you got into the game. You're then trying to prove a point, or you're trying to get to the top, or your ego's leading the way. And I, you know, as much as I was free on the field, I was definitely, you know, affected by lots of those things.
Where did you go after Wasps?
I went to Melbourne because I had paparazzi sitting outside my house for like 9 months straight all the time. And I'd play a good game on the weekend, and before they started, before I got injured, it was, if I had a good game, they would say I had a great game. If I had a good game after my injury, it seemed like they would say I had a bad game. It just felt like the change in the tide or the way they spoke about me. And I was like, I felt quite claustrophobic at the time, so I wanted to go to Australia and get away, so I went to Australia, Melbourne.
With the paparazzi stuff, you don't hear of like Owen Farrell and Marcus Smith saying, "Oh, I've got paparazzi sat outside the house." Yeah. I'm guessing you led a bit of a different lifestyle, didn't you? I'm guessing the Marcus Smith might lead, but
what was that off the back of?
Kelly Brook.
Do you know what? Like from 16, they started writing about me, right? And then
it was, big
I
news.
started playing. I played for Wasps at 17. I'm training at England camps with Andy Robinson and so on at 17, 18. I'm just there and then I start playing for England at a young age, and then I meant to play 1 week, and I get dropped for a controversial reason. I'm on the front page of newspapers, and then
that was that nightclub.
It just started spinning. Yeah, it
Well,
wasn't
what
like
was that, honestly, because the whole thing, surely now you can reflect and be like, sort of bollocks. You sort of left at what, 12:30, a club, and like
it was before that. It was before 12. I wasn't drinking. It was a Wednesday. We had Thursday off. Yeah, it's all kind of irrelevant. But I mean, the whole experience was the attention of the media got so extensive that I just felt like I wanted to go to Australia. I wanted to move away as far as I could.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that's what
And
I
then
did.
You ended up with who with the Rat Pack?
Oh mate, like
we had. Do you remember who did we have on?
I know
James O'Connor was on. Curly Beale.
I know what I'll
Buddy
do.
Franklin.
I'll get
Yeah,
all
they
the
were
way
talking
to the other
about
side of the road and I'll be all right. And
You
then
gotta imagine.
bump into Rabs.
I didn't really drink or anything like that before I went to Australia, and like
Yeah, Melbourne gets you though, doesn't it?
man, Melbourne
It is
gets
a
you.
mad city.
It gets you. But
Oh, great place.
it was where I was at in my life. You know, I felt so confined and not seen and misunderstood and all these different things. I was a young lad, and I was like, what they're saying about me isn't who I am, but it's making me feel like that. And at some point you end up believing it and playing into the character that they speak about. And it's a whole flip, it's a whole different thing that goes on. But yeah, Australia was amazing. Like it was an amazing, it was like a really well-paid gap year for 2 years.
That's a good.
That's how I view it now.
Summarise your stint out in Australia.
Fucking hell.
Only because
Who was in the Rat Pack?
Mate, I went there with so much, like, I was so buzzing for it. And then we had this coach, Rod McQueen.
I heard stories about this guy tried to revolutionise the breakdown, didn't he? He was trying to make.
Mate, let me
no
tell you what
rugby.
happened. Let me tell you what happened. I got to Australia, and like it, I was so buzzing to go play Super Rugby. It was the only reason I ever played rugby was because I watched Christian Cullen as a kid at Wellet Hurricanes. It was the first thing I ever saw. I thought, it's amazing, right? So I'm playing Super Rugby, and Rod McQueen, I've heard he won the World Cup in '99. I thought he wouldn't be too bad a coach. Hasn't coached in 11 years, but hopefully it's not gone completely out the window. My guy sat there for 11 years watching rugby, and in his brain has revolutionised it, and he thinks he's about to. So he called this play called Apple. It was called Apple, and he wanted us off the first line out against Waratahs to hit up, and then everyone come into the channel and pick and go. Like, everyone. Wingers, everyone. So wherever you were stood, he wanted everyone to do it. And obviously when training, when you pick and go against pads, you're always going to score. You're always going to make 40 metres, aren't you? You can pick and go anywhere and you make
arms,
it's quick ball. Quick ball.
Off the edge of the pad.
I said, like, Sterling Mortlock there, you know, with the conformist way of rugby, he's like, yeah, just give it a try, Danny. I was like, nah.
Whereabouts were you? Right at the back.
No, I'm at 10. I was like, yeah, but Rod, what happens if we turn the ball over? He was like, don't turn the ball over. I was like, okay. What happens if we don't get any go forward? You find, and that was it. He wanted us all to do it. I ended up not starting the first game against the Waratahs because I wasn't participating in this pick and go
the apple
down the middle of the field because
did it work ever though?
No, we did it. We did it at the beginning of the game. They turned over. Curtly Bill went the length of the field and never ran it again. We spent the whole of pre-season practicing all sorts of crazy stuff like that.
We had Drew Mitchell on saying he owes you a drink because you took all the blame for some club incident. What are your memories of that infamous night?
So that was after that game. Like, so Waratahs was just absolutely pumped rebels. And
where was this? Sorry,
at Amy Park. We went to some place in Melbourne. I don't remember the names of it, man.
Emerson or something. Yeah, okay.
It was one of them dingy clubs, and I was there.
I know the clubs. Yeah,
I was there, and we was at the bar, and I can't remember. Like, rock paper scissors. Loser has to get that bottle of vodka. Just a bit of fun, whatever. I've lost rock, paper, scissors, and I think I'm super stealth, looking around, like, grab it, put it in between my legs. Me and him are cracking up like 12-year-old school kids, like, just laughing, thinking we're so subtle. Bearing in mind, everything's caught on camera, and like 2 minutes later, security guard just put his hand on my shoulder, and he was like, you're gonna have to leave, sir. And I was like, okay, fair. Took it out, gave me a book, and we left. That was it. It was so nothing. And I thought over there I'd be pretty anonymous, would be able to just have fun, do whatever. Boom, newspapers, all like, Danny Cipriani stealing vodka, plays the video, oh my God, da-da-da-da. Then we played the Brumbies the following week, and they started me because the game went so bad against the Tars.
Because the apple didn't work.
And I had such a chip on my shoulder that week, and it was our second professional game as a group, playing Brumbies. We were a very tidy outfit, had a kick to win the game and hit it. And like afterwards, when I kicked the ball into the stand, I've never hit a ball so hard, and I was just like, fuck you, journalists, fuck everyone, like, we've just won. Like, do you know what I'm saying? It was just like a release of, don't put me in a corner, it's never going to work, ever.
Talk to me about Rabs. Talk to me about James O'Connor.
Absolute legend of a human being.
Isn't he?
I think he's a really special guy, man. Like, he's very self-reflective, he's very self-aware, he used to be very impulsive and confident, and just, you know, in a lot of similar traits to what I felt I had when I was younger, just that confident young kid who would just do anything. He could do anything on the field. Like, when he was younger, you see some of the stuff he used to do. Yeah. And obviously, you know, with that talent and extreme ability comes, there's a figuring out of life off the field you have to do as well, because you know everyone has to, whether you reach the top or not. Everyone has to figure life out at some point. Like, we will have to do it. We will have to do our work, and you know he's done that, and he's done it in a way where, like, I don't even want to say I'm proud of him, because I don't want to like make him. He's done awesome guy. He's doing really well.
Yeah, no,
and he has some stories. He has some stories. Of course, he's got lots of funny stories. And
he told us some stories, but like, to see where he is now. Like,
but that's
because that's what all I heard of him. And then I met him on the Barbarian stuff, and we just got on our House on Fire. I absolutely love the bloke. And now you look at him now, and you hear all the stories, but then he's set up this retreat in Oz, and he's
man. That's the inspiration to me, to see people like that who transcend themselves and
Persevere,
transform and
yeah.
persevere through the thick and the thin. And because that's life. Like everyone in this world, everyone's going to go through suffering.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Because he like genuinely opened up a lot about like going to a seriously dark place, you know,
Yeah.
and he was very, you know, he's very candid about the drugs and all of that at that particular moment in his career, and spending the night in prison and all these things. And I've read that you've also had some of those moments, perhaps that are similar to
Couple
James.
nights in prison.
Was there was one I read about
Nights in
buying
the clink.
buying a gun. Can you tell us? Is that, you know, where was your mindset at that time?
That I was in a pretty dark place, and it was led up all to that point before I actually went to Australia, because like I'd walk down the street and I'd see people like look or double take or, you know, notice you or whatever it is, and at that point I just felt everyone was talking negatively about me. Like I couldn't get it out of my head. I couldn't, as much as I wanted to ignore it and get on with it, it just became too much, and that's why I ended up wanting to go to Australia. But yeah, I went to some extreme lengths, and I felt that the pain I just didn't see a way out. But there is a huge way out for everyone, and like I said, suffering's part of life, and it's just, you know, how you can transform it is the beauty of it.
And so that was off the back of England stuff, was it?
It was England stuff. It was like, mate, I'd go buy bread and milk and they'd take photos of me. Like they were just on me all the time. And like it just makes you so self-conscious, but not in like a good way. Like a really you know, intrusive way. I didn't really have much of a parental guideline of like how to behave. I didn't come up in the same rugby way. You know, I grew up on a council estate. I had a lot of energy, you know, so I had to figure out life and learn lessons while being in the public eye. And yeah, that was a lot of my lessons that I had to self-reflect on and learn about, because everyone's got a different start to life at whatever it is, and it's definitely been an interesting experience.
If you could pick any team to go and just walk into now, who would you play for?
Oh man,
You could pick a
of all
team
time.
now.
right now,
Just walk in.
La Rochelle maybe. I like
Roger's interesting, isn't he?
very
Roger's
nice.
interesting.
Again,
Speak to scouts. Just go.
as a player, like, you know, wasn't the most expressive player, but he's transformed himself. He's a student of the game. He knows the ins and outs of the game. He coaches in a way which brings that freedom of expression, allows boys to go and do it, and he does it in a foreign country. So, you know, he's obviously doing it to a high level. And
did you hear that soundbite of him after that game?
no,
Oh man, it was so
he's,
good.
I know his sound bites are great.
Oh yeah, you're right though.
But he's locked in.
He's absolutely thinking about like in
Yeah.
a more esoteric way about rugby. It's fascinating.
You have to pick a Premiership team. You have to.
I have to. Okay.
You've got to pick one team that you
Based
just
on
walk
how they
into.
play, rather than also who else is.
Yeah, but don't
in the
worry
squad,
about
right?
too much, because I would look at Bristol and go, I want to be at Bristol.
No, I wouldn't want to
Forget
be
about
at
where they
Bristol.
are.
I like Pat Lam. I know it's his way or the highway though, innit?
How do you know Pat Lam?
Huh?
How do you know Pat
Just
Lam?
our meetings. I think he's a great
Oh, right,
guy.
yeah.
He's like, you know, very confident and knows his stuff.
Quins.
Yeah, I think
See you
Quinn's
at
playing
Quins.
it in a good way.
But have you heard about
Everything.
Quinn's defence? They don't do defence. You heard this?
Was in,
The defence
They don't
coach
train.
comes
Are you
in.
speculating
He
again?
No, I've heard this.
Oh,
This is
God.
from a source.
That sounds
They
wonderful.
don't really do much like tackling and contact. The defence coach comes into the gym and he dresses himself in full pads. And he goes, right, boys, one tackle each. And they get to absolutely melt him onto the pads. I'm all over that.
Man, 100%.
How funny would that be? Yeah, so that's probably why they're just like, back in. Let's just score more. So, right, we got Quinn.
okay, so-
We got La Rochelle. Hold on, I just want to. I'm trying to work it down and see where he's going.
No, mate.
There you go to every league.
Do you know what? It's
Japan? Kobe.
the
Kobe
issue-
Steelers.
The issue is like for a coach to sign me, they feel that I'm going to come in and change everything or do everything.
listen to this and they'll
and
fucking-
no, it's not even that. It's just that's what I was like and that's what I was doing. But what I could add and what I could bring would be so different now. But I also feel my best rugby could be in front of me, or I might never play again.
How old are you?
35, and physically I feel world class.
26.
Easy.
But that's what I'm
So
fucking saying.
talk to me about what you've been doing though. So you've been playing football. When you talk about movement practices, what do you mean?
I kick and mess about. We shoot basketball and once a week with
You
Johnny.
and Margot shoot some hoops.
with Johnny Wilkinson.
Oh, yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Is that right? Is that who you've been training with? It's not a bad bloke. It's training
What other movement? So what was the last movement you did? Basketball.
No, we did kicking a couple of days ago.
Hold on a minute. We've just unearthed a fucking gem here. So
Mate,
you've been
can I
training
ask you a
with...
question?
Yeah.
I don't know if this has to go on air, but has Johnny Wilkinson been on a massive ayahuasca retreat?
A massive what?
Has he?
A massive
I
what?
don't know that, and
He hasn't disclosed
if
that.
he had done
You
that, I
wouldn't tell
definitely
me.
wouldn't disclose
Oh
that.
yeah, fine. Sorry.
And
I would
I'm
never-
I'm not even saying anything to be remotely taken out of context because that's completely his life.
It's
and-
just when I listen to him talk now, it feels like he's had.
It does this.
no,
he's had some. He's
he's
got some
done the work.
interesting.
He's-
He's got
he's an
some interesting
exceptional-
insights.
He's an exceptional
Yeah.
human, man.
Okay, hold on. Let's go back to this then. So you've been training with Johnny.
Yeah, sorry, I spoke to that. Yeah.
Talk about life, man.
Fuck, that is pretty cool.
So cool.
Mm.
Hold on
Wait,
a
does
minute,
he
no-
still do kicking? Like, as in,
Yeah,
No,
we kicked together. Yeah.
He was still a kicking coach, isn't he?
He goes
Yeah,
to
he does
England,
that,
doesn't he? Yeah.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah,
Good
no,
farming
it's-
boy.
It's
Good farming boy, Johnny.
yeah, I really enjoy it like a lot. It's I get a lot out of it.
Sorry, I know you want to ask something, but I've got to ask something.
Keep
Steve
going.
Black. Talk to me about Steve Black before, and like gutting, like
Steve Black,
genuinely one bloke that if there was someone that I could meet in terms of trainer or in the rugby world, I've heard so much good stuff about him.
Yeah.
Steve Black.
I guess
like,
everyone that meets him says he's the best coach ever, and he doesn't even coach a specific. It's not like an attack coach or a goalkeeper coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They say he's the best coach ever because he's lived life top to bottom, self-reflected, and he can come from a place of love or wisdom continuously. It's never from fear. It's never from ego. It's never from trying to look like he knows what he's saying. There's none of that energy. It's just a genuine connection, a genuine bloke with a high level of emotional intelligence who has changed every player or person he comes across their trajectory because he just sees you. He was a phenomenal human being, man.
that's honestly one person I hear so much about, and I'm like, fuck, he's one person I would love to do something with, like
Definitely got-
on a similar sort of level to what I think Margot would be, but he just gets the person, eh?
Yeah, for sure. Like, and he's got so many. He's so well read. He's so he was a student of life. He was a student of life continuously, forever. But not only I think because he loved it and enjoyed it, but his highest what I felt passion and enjoyment was serving others. Like, you know, when you go into that place of serving others and you're not just doing things for yourself, like life can get so much more enjoyable.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, selfishness is a great form of charity.
Sorry, Mark.
Then need to move back a little, tiny bit to on the field stuff. You're saying you're training with Johnny, and just take your memory back to your England debut, where I think you replaced him that day, and then guided England to an impressive 33-10 victory over Ireland. Kind of take us through the recollections of that day.
Oh man, I don't really have that much, to be honest. Like, it was just, I remember the night before, like I had about 3 or 4 hours sleep because I was literally just visualizing, rehearsing things. I wasn't this time. I was visualizing and rehearsing so much about the day. And there was, at the time, that England, it's much of the same as it always is. Like, England go well or they don't. And if they don't, it's always stuff's going on and starts adding hype and drama to it. So there was a bit of that around it. And I was meant to play fullback the week before, didn't. On the Monday, Brian told me, all right, you're going to start this week. And I was like, sick. And then he was like, I want you to run it. Because he knew me from National Academy times. So then from Monday, Tuesday, I was running the whole session. I was like 20 years old, saying whatever's going on. On Tuesday, I cut session short by 20 minutes. On the Thursday, I cut the session short by 20 minutes. Like, I was like, we're ready. I was so just excited for it because I had a coach who was giving me that freedom and, you know, allowed me to do that. And I was like, it's time to go and express myself. And, you know, I don't really remember much of the day. because it was just I was just in it. It was just great. It was a lot of fun, I think.
Do you talk about that with Johnny a little bit, about those sort of your
No,
England? Because, there are some... Are there some regrets around the international game for you?
No, I don't have any regrets. I've got lots of things I've definitely learned from it. There's lots of responsibility I could take, and in 2015 when I, had a drink drive, pre-World Cup with Stuart Lancaster, the coach, it was probably poor timing. Not that there's ever good timing for that. I understand the responsibility of that. I'm not saying that in a flippant way, in case anyone wants to take it out of context.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2019, 2018, I got arrested before the season in Jersey. And Eddie said that wasn't going to come down to selection, and I don't think it did. I don't think it mattered if I got arrested or not with Eddie. I just don't think he wanted me to be in that environment.
Was it a convenient time for you to get arrested? Is that what you're saying?
No. What? Sorry about
Right,
what?
as in that he said it wasn't because of that, but actually...
Yeah, he said it wasn't. He said at the beginning of that season, for selection of that World Cup, I will not hold that against Danny. That will not come into selection. And then that's when, he publicly starts saying things, he's a highlights player, does this and that. And, just whatever it was, that whether he was trying to motivate me or whatever his, I got views, but I'm not really that fussed about it. My own views in as such, because then I'd be speaking for him. But I just felt he just didn't want me in the environment. I don't think the arrest came down to me getting picked or not. I think it might have had a play with Stuart, because he was slightly, when he was with England, much more straight-laced and wanted to be seen to be the guy that brought all the passion back into English rugby. It's such a fine line, is it? Because all of these examples of things that perhaps off the field, for sure I could have behaved in a better way, but my life experiences took me to that. I wasn't in if I knew better at the time, or if I had more of a wisdom, I would have done better. I didn't know, because like I said, I had to bring myself up in front of everyone. I had lots of father figures, but without one father figure, and as much as you can gain so much knowledge from it, there's a big period where you're still like figuring things out for a long time and searching and so on and so on. So with how that all went, and whenever I played for England, I either got man of the match or was, it was playing for England is so much easier than it is playing for your club, because you've got 30 players that are all with the same mindset. Everyone wants to be great. Everyone wants to learn. Everyone wants to listen. The meetings, you could hear a pin drop. Like, no one's late. It's like everyone's on it. At club rugby, you've got 10 people that want to be internationals. You've probably got 5 people that are internationals, 10 that want to be, 10 or 15 goers that are trying their best. And you've also got like 20 people that don't really get in the squad and
just happy to be there.
Yeah, not happy to be there, but they just kind of succumb to the fact that they're not getting seen or looked at, because you know what it's like at rugby clubs. You're either in or you're not. It's very difficult to make a whole team, because there's so many people.
From national training coming back to...
But everyone at England wants it because there's more money involved and there's more this, and it's like, well, it's not actually about that. It's just about giving you all in the moment as much as you can.
25 grand a game doesn't sound bad.
No, it does, but like it man, I know that comes into play for a lot of people. It didn't for me. Like I remember when Martin Johnson was the coach, and we trained before Australia on the Thursday for like 2 hours and 45 minutes. And as the fly half, like I've just come back from injury. I'm 20, 21. Everyone talks to you as the fly half anyway. So I've got all these senior players going, fucking hell, my legs are fucked. And I'm like, yeah, my legs are fucked too. And I'm like, so I said to the captain at the time, and I was like, I'm not going to mention his name, but I'm going to say, yeah, can you have a word with Jono? Because, bearing in mind a year before, Brian said to me, you call it when you're ready, Danny. Whereas when Martin was in charge, it was like, I want you to be a fly half. I want you to be great and do what you do, but I want you to do it when I say, like, or with my control. That's the control aspect you get from coaches, the fear element. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. That's just what I experienced then. And when I said that to the captain, he was like, I think he's just trying something, Danny. And my answer at the time, I'm 21, I was like, trying something. Tell him to go coach the under-15s and try something. We're playing Australia in front of 90,000 people on Saturday. I'm 21 and I'm speaking to the senior player who's a captain. And yes, that might come across a bit cocky and this and that, but like I was pretty well justified within what I said. It just didn't fit within the mold of rugby. So I was seen as being disruptive and so on and as it was, you know. It's so interesting when you look at other sports and how rugby is and how other sports have all thrived and flourished, but yet rugby isn't. And we keep changing this rule and this bit, but ultimately, for me, it's the way the energy of the game's played.
Okay, well, let's go with a couple of bits to see what we potentially learnt from those moments. Let's start with the first one. We love this one.
Yeah.
Brought that in.
Where the fuck did that come from?
It's been there the whole fucking time, mate. Just look around a little bit.
Have you actually signed that?
I think so.
Did you print that from your house?
That is my
No, it's
signature.
not. It's from within the production gang.
Handy, yes.
That is handy.
Bring my fanboy pictures of Danny and Josh Lucy and be like, hey, it's fine. Talk us through this one.
That was a celebration we did because during the week Josh punched me and knocked me out.
Why did he punch you and knock you out?
Because Sean was wanting me to lead the team because we weren't at the time like killing it as we were previously the year before. And Josh, if everyone's ever trained with Josh, knows he's possibly one of the worst trainers. Like he's a winger who's great. At match day, you pick him all day, every day. And you see Josh plays an abrasive, hard-running winger, hit anything. But when it comes to training, he used to think he was a ball player and fly off. And he used to come step in and throw these missed passes and do all this stuff. And it was just like, do what you're good at. I want you to express yourself and try things, but don't do it in spite of everyone else. You're just doing it for you. Anyway, Haskell mentioned this in his book with a complete false story, just to get a laugh, which obviously, but he, so I was doing that and then Josh knocked me out. I don't have much remembrance of it, but our media and our sport made out like I was the bad guy. I was the one. They almost, when they posted it, it felt like they printed like I deserved it. I'm 20 years old. He's a senior player. If you're knocking a 20-year-old out at that age, in my view, in other sports, you're like, come on, man, like, what's going on? But because of rugby, the energy the sport's played in, the macho-ness, the hierarchy element, you know, let's say it's the young kid's
fault. What
fault.
actually happened? So on the training field, you said to a mate, wind it in a bit, you're not the fucking centre.
I don't remember now what I said, but I've said something which has made him
pissed
so
him
irate.
Off, and he's just...
I said, whatever I said, I've just gone at him because like Sean's like, try and lead. I'm like, all right, all right, I'll give it a go. And yeah, that's what happened.
And I'm guessing in that picture there that you're ducking a
So I said to him afterwards, I was like, cool, mate, you lost temper or whatever. Have you seen Remember the Titans? And he was like, no. I was like, okay, basically, there's a scene where strong side and right side meet, you know, the white linebacker and the black guy, they come together and they like do this swing, duck and hug. And I was like, let's celebrate, let's do it. And so that's why we did that after that try.
Let's go with also, what do we think we've learnt from the and I say this with a smile because obviously you were injured this, you got hit by a double-decker bus.
Mm-hmm.
Where does that sit in the moments of that had to happen for me to get to where I am now?
Yeah, see, I remember hearing that story, but I have no idea the context of that story.
Yeah, that's it.
End of season social, and I don't really drink throughout the season. End of season, we did the Otley Run. On the way to the Otley Run from Manchester, it's like a 2.5 hour drive. By the time we got to the Otley Run, everyone was fucked as it was anyway. Because obviously when you're young and you want to put yourself in more pain, you drink lots of alcohol, like, and numb your brains out. It's just what I was doing. I I really like being in my brains now. It's very quiet.
You don't drink anymore?
Not really, no.
Right.
I was in a Goldberg wrestler's outfit. So I had gold face paint.
Sounds like something Max would just wear on a fucking
Yeah,
headset. I'm surprised he's not wearing
black
that now.
leotard, and like I remember I was with another player who was messing about, and then I started running away. Was I chasing him or him? I can't remember. But then, as I'm running down on the left side of the road, I see the bus, and I assumed it was going. I assumed it was stopping because there was a bus stop, but it was one of those ones that was a through one. So I've cut across traffic to come across, like being a stupid idiot, whatever. I was out my mind, and as I've gone, I'm like, I've looked to my left, and that's when it became slow-mo. I don't remember much apart from this moment when I looked to my left and the bus was there, like on me. I don't know what it was, but I just jumped as high as I could. If I'd stayed on the floor, I don't think I would have survived it. Because the metal grate would have just gone boom through me. Whereas you see the picture of the bus where the windskrin's shattered. It's like the top of the windscreen. Like so in that moment, I'm not thinking, jump, Danny. Like, do you know what I mean? But whatever it was.
That's Margot Wells for you.
Yeah, there you go. Margot not only created my career, she saved my life when the bus hit me. That's why you should train at Margot, kids.
Well fast, limited.
Phone number running
Yeah,
across
yeah.
the bottom will be asking.
So what was the like? How did you feel after that though? Like in terms of injuries?
I had a slight MCL thing and some cuts on my face, but nothing really. And then they had to write the bus off the next day, so it never rode again.
What? Did you beat the bus? Is that what you said? Saw off the bus?
I didn't say it, you did. I didn't say it, you did.
So you learned through all of these things. Tell us then, because obviously, Ryan, I don't want to bring this up.
Oh,
it brings you down about your barbars experience.
Yeah.
Best week of his life. Didn't get to play. Talk about it.
COVID.
You did manage to play for the Barbars against Northampton. How was that experience for you?
Yeah, man, I just thought it was awesome, man. I thought what was great about it is there's no hierarchy system immediately because everyone's together. Like everyone does the same stuff. You listen to a bit of what someone says about rugby, but everyone just got to know each other in a way I've never experienced in a rugby group. It was everyone. There was lots of boys without contracts, so everyone was pretty vulnerable and was just open. And of course, the first couple of days has drinking involved, but it wasn't like our conversations were just dead out drunk convos. Like we had lots of fun, lots of laughter, but it was a lot. It was just a lot of passionate, caring, like wise guys that had been through a lot of stuff, man. And everyone came together. It was an amazing week. It was an amazing week to feel that within rugby. I was like, it can be done differently. It doesn't have to have the drinking. It doesn't have to be part of it. Yes, that relaxes people's inhibitions so they feel a bit freer to speak and so on, right? But why can't we have a coach who has the emotional intelligence to create that environment where you have that around you? You don't have people who aren't getting picked week on, week out when they should be getting picked week in, week out. Like every club has it. You don't have, because that's all personal opinion, like a personal one. It's not what's best for the team. When you look at the hierarchy system within rugby, it's like it segregates everyone, and it makes when they come out of meetings, I've done it. I've walked out with my chest out because you think, yeah, you're the man, you're in the meetings. Like it just separates everything. You obviously need leaders, you need all of that. But as a coach, there needs to be some sort of way where you can connect and unite everyone. And
who were the coaches? Was it still Ron O'Gara and Razor on that? It had changed by then?
No, Mulvers, Aussie lad, great guy, like great guy. But as a coach, they're part of the environment. That's what he speaks about and wants to create in rugby too.
Yeah.
And in that week, it obviously is set up so that's how it is.
Was that your last game of rugby?
Yeah, so far, yeah.
Because that was recently, wasn't it?
Yeah. And obviously when you put like having to win and pressure and money and people's livelihoods on top, you put all these things on it, much more pressure comes onto the games, right? But if you have an environment where your environment doesn't feel that, doesn't speak about that, doesn't talk about how big this occasion is in front of you, how astronomical this game is, or we need to fuck this team up, we need to be do all this, like all that stuff. People, you're gonna do that. It's a physical game. People are gonna do that. But if you go into game feeling excited and you know your teammates on a genuine level, not like a still trying to figure people out level, like a genuine level, which some teams I'm sure get it and they do, and you know, you see that with Saracens. I feel they do have that, but obviously winning helps and all the other things that came with that. You can artificially create it, but I'm saying, how can you do that within our sport and create an environment that goes and does that?
There we go. Okay, well let's ask you. Let's get the Danny Cipriani Avengers Assemble coaching squad that you either hypothetically or you know them or you've played under them. You know, who's your head coach, attack coach, defense coach?
Sean is.
Yeah,
He's going to be.
Sean's the defense coach because of his emotional intelligence, like because of the life he's lived and the experiences he's had and the way he connects people. Defense is defense. Everyone can defend or not, depending how much you want to put your body on the line for that coach. It's like a personal thing. And, you know, the way he connects groups and players is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. It's something that no other rugby union coach really does in that way or connects the team. He's doing it in France in a language he just about speaks. It's a feeling, it's an energy, it's who he is. There's a humbleness to him. But yet the humbleness comes with someone who's an absolute student of the game, like doesn't leave a stone unturned. And he's a thinker too. Like people just think comes in and shouts and does, man, he's so emotionally intelligent. So Sean, attack coach, I'd probably go Brian Ashton or Ronan O'Gara, but I've not experienced Ronan. I don't know, it's just from what I've seen. I just think Brian and Sean would balance each other out perfectly. Head coach. Head coach. I don't know.
Sure.
I'll give him Dave Renner. You'd love Dave Renner.
Yeah.
He
But
brings people together.
I saw what he did with Australia though.
Yeah, but he brings people together.
What was their
He
attack
building.
coach?
He was building.
Was he? Good
Building.
coach.
Bloody good.
Does he have a
bloke.
good understanding of the game?
Unbelievable understanding of the
Really?
game. But just on another level brings boys together.
Really?
And that's what pissed me
James
off
said
about.
that. James said that. James spoke highly of him.
That's what pissed me off
Rabs.
most about the CEO of the
Yeah,
Australian
the
Rugby
Australian
Union
guy.
came out and said, "Oh, you know, it's doing all this Combi shit." But
Did you say that?
Yeah, it's fucking
Oh,
obnoxious
wow.
prick.
That's a bit.
Yeah, and but Renz was
I'm
all
all for
about
the Kumbaya.
like getting the boys together, having a sing song after the game. Just like knew how to get the boys together. So
Yeah.
you'd love him.
Yeah, I've heard great things about him. Like, I think, like, so.
But I can't put Renz in there for you. So
No,
sorry.
I know. Head coach.
Who's the best head coach you've had?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You haven't had any.
No, it's not that. It's just, you know, when I was at Wasps the first time, like, Geach was great. I still feel that team would have won a lot though because they have Warren set up a lot of it, and I was there for Warren. Warren was great, but I didn't experience a lot of Warren. You know, I had like a season when I was still at school, played like 5 games that year. He signed me and all that, but I wasn't like with him all the time. Geach, I feel like we would have won Europe in the league. I think he inherited a squad, which was as it was. So I can't say he went in there and built it because they would already won previously. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who my head
It
coach
wouldn't
would
be Eddie. We know that.
Yeah, it would be Eddie. Just for fun.
Don't put me there because that'll make me angry.
Just because I would like to see Eddie speak to Sean the way he speaks to his coaches. I'd like to see what goes down.
Mate, you reckon? Do you want a role play game, mate? Should we role play?
I think it would be.
Fucking
Make an
what?
accent, yeah.
I think it would be the most transformative coaching team for Eddie as well. Because being around Sean and him trying to do that, he'd figure a different way out. So it'd be interesting. I'm not choosing Eddie because I don't want that in my contract or soundbite. Head coach. I would say I don't know. I just let them do it. Those two. Don't
Yeah.
need head
Yeah,
coach,
no need for head coach.
Right.
Play ledge.
Why can't
Yeah.
Sean do? Yeah, Sean.
Well, yeah, Sean could be head coach and defense coach. You know, I don't know.
Danny, final bits. We do this with everyone. It's like our quick fire. First person that comes into your head. Best player you've ever played with.
Fraser Waters, but I don't know.
Oh, he was
That came
so
to my head
good.
defensively. Definitely, like best defensive reader, for sure. Curtly Bill and James are up there too. Like in terms of all round package.
Best player you've ever played against.
Dan Carter,
Biggest fight you've witnessed in training.
Simon Shaw, Lawrence Delalio.
Who won?
Shawsy's got some big hands, hasn't he?
He does. Yeah, I'd take Shawsy on that fight all day.
What happened?
It was just a bit of a scuffle and the boys got involved, but you know, there was a few punches thrown.
Okay, you're picking 3 people in a cab with you for the ultimate party.
The Rat Pack.
The ultimate party.
Yeah.
James, Johnny, and rugby player. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know who's next. I'd have to think about that one.
Well, who have you? Okay, so what they all bring
am I
in?
going? Am I in?
Yeah,
This
you're
party?
in the cab.
All right,
You're
so
in the
I'm not
cab.
the
It's you and
third
the
person.
boys.
James, Johnny,
All right,
and
James, Johnny, and
I've heard of. There's a few players you mentioned that like to get pretty loose.
yeah, but I'm thinking of a different party, man. Like,
Or for the best time of your life.
You alluding what
for
sort
me
of
to have
party
the
you
best
thinking?
time of my life doesn't involve me getting out my nut, so it's
Yeah,
different.
but hold on. Let's rewind this. Let's go back to like 10 years ago.
when I was younger,
like Rat Pack
Okay.
days.
Rat Pack days.
Piss up like Curtly Bill's.
James makes it. James makes it.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's in there.
Curtly makes it.
Yeah, Curtly's in there. That's who I was alluding to.
Uh,
Johnny's fucking way out
Quaid.
there. He's fucking.
Quaid. I've not had that experience with him, but with Quaid, Curtly, and James, back in the day, it would have been fun. Yeah.
But sadly, that is all the time we've got left for this week. A huge thank you to Ryan and to Max, and in particular, Danny. Thank you so much for coming
Yeah.
into studio. And
Thank you.
I think we really hope we can see you back out on the rugby field
Yeah,
with
man.
this.
Fuck yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would love to.
Zen
class.
Danny Cipriani.
I would love to go into an environment that's is driven by coaches that know what they're doing and try and do my utmost. It would be fun.
good.
But I just want to say thank you for having me on the show too, because you know you guys are doing some good stuff in the rugby world.
We try.
I appreciate that. We try our
man.
best.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a different feel to it. Obviously, you know, Ryan wants to bring the banter and you know, and the stories and
Max
the
goes
humanize
big for
it, and you got the depth, and you know, you've got the knowledge and the backing of the sport, and it's good, man.
Appreciate
Oh,
it, man.
brilliant.
No,
No, you've been a
guys.
legend.
Thank you.
Thank you very
It's been a
much.
pleasure, Danny.
Cheers,
Yeah.
guys.